It's hard to tell if you're live. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Chris Legaspi, and today we are going to do a new live stream series on how I study master paintings, how I study masterworks, and how I get the most out of this exercise. To me, master copies, master studies is arguably one of the most powerful exercises because in a way you can kind of teach yourself. In a way, you have a conversation with an expert, with a master, living or deceased. So it's a powerful exercise, and it's one of the things that I did to when I first started learning or going on this journey to become a realist, academic artist, professional illustrator, and it took me, from to from zero to hero very fast. And this exercise, I didn't invent this. I learned this from my great teachers, teachers like Steve Houston, Mark Westermo. They all, and they learned it from who came before them. So it's such an important exercise, and I wanted to do an entire series. So this will have 5 or 6 different lessons, different classes. And today we're going to kick it off with an overview of the entire course, the entire live stream class series. And in this video in particular, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down how I go through each of the individual topics, because when you or when I approach a master copy, I don't just blindly go in and go, oh wow, that's a nice sergeant. Oh, let me just blindly copy. No, I come with an intention. I always say, come to the practice table with an intention. So that's what we're going to do, my friends. I will show you the 5 or 6 things that I look at, that I come to a master copy with, the things that I want to learn, and then I will, in this video, I will just quickly demonstrate how I go about doing that. So make sure to watch to the end so you can see all of the various methods and ways that I approach a master copy, because any one of these you can apply and get some great results in your work right away. And that's the point and beauty of a master copy. So thank you for joining me. If you're new to me, my name is Chris Legaspi. I'm a professional artist, author, and NMA instructor. So what I'm going to do now, I'm doing the producing of this show, unfortunately. So I'm going to fuddle around with OBS right now, the software, and I'm going to try to find, get the reference on screen. So I appreciate you being here. So I'm going to pull up the reference. And by the way, what I'm going to do is we're going to have the same master work. It's going to be a Rembrandt, and I'm going to approach it in 5 or 6 different ways. So if you want to follow along, is it in the description? I will put the thing in the description. It's Rembrandt Descent from the Cross. Sorry, I had it in my previous stream. So while I get the reference in the screen ready, comment below, where are you located? Where are you watching from, and what time is it for you? I am currently in Thailand myself. It's 2 in the afternoon for me. So thank you for joining me wherever you are. All right, here we go. I'm going to get my big head out of the way. And here we go. Whoops. Here we go. So that'll be what we're going to study. So before we do that, I want to do a quick overview. I can put myself on screen. That's fine. All right. So before we get started with our master copy for today, I just want to quickly go over the structure and the various lessons we'll go through in this new live stream class series. How to study the masters. So this first video will be an overview. That's what this first video will be. And here are the ways that I approach in master copy. We'll cover each one in detail in the various chapters. First is tonal structure, tonal design. Next is shape and design. Next is marks and techniques. Next, number 1, 2, 3, 4. Next is shading and form. Number 5 is anatomy and design. Then we could do, obviously, color. We won't do number 8, excuse me. And finally is a 1-to-1 copy. And I'll quickly explain what I mean by this. So tonal structure is basically tonal composition, the tonal design, where the dark masses are, the light masses, and how they are arranged, the value keys, how dark it is, how light it is, how much contrast. It's basically a compositional, it's mostly a compositional practice. So that's what I love about tonal structure. Shape and design, that to me is abstraction. So things like, oh, how do they design the shape of a figure? Is their figure abstract? Is their background, or if they're landscape, is their background simplified and abstract and graphic? How do they arrange their shapes? Do they use rule of thirds? How do they do line and contour? Is their contour straight? Is their contour more curved? And also, when I look at shape and design, again, going back to composition, I also think about the linear design. So how do they relate, the head to the neck? How do they relate the ear across to the eye? How do they relate the hand up to the neck, or the head down to the foot? And then how do they lead your eye around the image? Where are the focal points, and how do they lead your eye around the image? So that, to me, is shape design, both outer shape, abstract shape, and linear design. Next is marks and techniques. Obviously, this is obvious. If typically you gravitate, or you resonate to a masterwork because it's beautiful. You're like, wow, it really resonates with you, and a lot of that is how it looks. So that's what I think about marks and techniques: is how can I recreate the look of the Rembrandt? How can I recreate the look of the Sargent? How can I recreate the look of Zhao Mingwu's charcoal drawings? That's marks and techniques. Did they use flat brush? Did they use fan brush? Did they use thick paint? Did they use thin paint? Did they use blocky strokes? Did they use line and hatching? Did they use airbrushy, washy strokes? So all of that we can learn from marks and techniques. Shading and form, this is obvious. Every artist, every great master approaches form in a slightly different and individual way. So if you like how a master work models their form, gets that beautiful form of the ball, beautiful form of the egg, perfect highlight in the nose, the glorious lighting and structure of the hand or the figure, that's what we can learn from each masterwork, shading and form. That one's pretty obvious. Anatomy and design. So a lot of you are figurative artists watching this. If, like me, each artist approaches anatomy differently. Some really, really love and emphasize anatomy. So they may add the veins, they may add the striations, they may add the tendon and accent the tendon. Or some may not care more about anatomy. They may hide the anatomy and focus more on the design, the overall effect. So that's important to look at. That's why I call it anatomy and design. Finally, color, obviously, there's lots of ways, you know, their color palette is one obvious thing you could look at. Also, their color design. How do they do naturalistic colors? Do they do it stylized, invented colors? Do they use mostly grays and muted colors? Are they colorful? So obviously, color is more relative to painting. And a one-to-one copy. A one-to-one copy, that is like a that is when you try to do a true copy. So most of these you can do little small thumbnail scale like that. But a one-to-one copy, you want to try to do a bit larger scale. And in a one-to-one copy, you really cover all of these. You know, you cover all of these. So that's pretty cool. It's very ambitious. It's very ambitious, and obviously it will take the longest. And obviously we're not going to cover that today. But that's what I mean. So if you're watching this, and I ever say to you, hey, do a one-to-one copy. That's what I mean. Try your best to literally copy the masterwork as it is to the best of your ability. Imagine you're like a forger. So you want to try to do the best you can. So you're going to need all of this good stuff, because obviously the masterworks, they've got all of this stuff down. So this is sort of an ambitious and advanced thing to do. But that's what I mean by one-to-one true copy, a large scale finished copy. Quite difficult. Now in this series, we're only going to focus on the drawing. So sorry, we won't get into color in this series, and obviously a one-to-one copy will take, we'll take like 10 live streams to do at an hour or 20 or more, whatever. So we're just going to focus on these because these are all mostly drawing. So that's it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the reference on screen here, and I'm going to demonstrate each one of these with the same reference. And we're going to draw from a Rembrandt today, Rembrandt Descent from the Cross. So there's two Descent from the Crosses. It's you'll see when I put it on screen. And forgive me for not putting the link up earlier. Rembrandt Descent from the Cross. So I'm going to try to photo around with OBS now. Hopefully it won't screw up the stream. So thank you for being here. While I do that, while I do that, comment below. Where are you located? Where are you watching from, and what time is it for you? I'm currently in Thailand myself. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. There it is. Oh, beautiful. So I'm going to try to not screw up this live stream here. It's looking good so far, thank goodness. Some of you watching may have saw me 5 minutes ago. I was totally screwed up because I desperately need a producer. Some of you know me from New Masters Academy, and at New Masters Academy, I don't do the OBS. I don't do the microphone. I just show up. They have a team. They have a staff. They have like 1 or 2 people. They put the mic on. Someone checks the audio. Someone checks the OBS. Someone checks the camera. Someone checks the exposure, But when I'm doing it, I got to do it by myself. So eventually, if anybody's watching, I do need a producer. In fact, I'm going to put that out there. I desperately need a producer. So if anybody watching, ideally someone in Thailand would be nice. I'm in Asia or whatever, close to my time zone. Do you want to work for me? I need a producer so bad because I plan to do one of these, at least one a week. These are very fun. Comment below if you like these live streams. I love these live streams. They're way more fun than making a edited YouTube video. Those are quite painful, but this is very fun. I want to do more of these. You know, I like reaching out with you guys. I like chatting with you guys. I appreciate you. Let me see if I get some comments here. Oh, I can see the comments. Hello, LA. Hello, West Coast. Hello, Newcastle. Hello, thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. So if anybody watching, if you want to work for me, give me a shout out or comment below. I desperately need a video producer, someone to do the OBS, the camera, all of that stuff for me, where I can just focus on making the content, making the lesson, which is what I should be doing. All right, so let's get started here. Okay, so we got 5 or 6 or 7 ways I approach a master copy. Let's start with number 1 is tonal structure. Tonal structure. What does that mean? What is that, Chris? Well, another way you can look at it is tonal design. There's that word again. Tonal design, tonal composition. You break down the value keys. You know, you say, oh, you want to simplify the values. Are they using 3 values? Are they using 4 values? Are they using 5 values? This will be, Rembrandt uses 3. Do they? Where are the darks? Where are the lights? Where is the light source? Where is the light coming from? So these are kind of the questions you want to ask. What are the dark masses? What are the masses? Are the masses mostly dark? Are the masses mostly light? So these are the questions that I ask when I do a tonal structure study. So let's do one now. And I'll just quickly demonstrate. I'll go into more detail in each individual lesson. We'll do a whole lesson on tonal structure, tonal design, tonal composition. So the first thing I like to do is to match the aspect ratio. Match the aspect ratio. And what that means is you want to try to get as close to the frame of the original as possible. So obviously the original here is more vertical. And this one's quite unique because it has it's a frieze, I believe that's what it's called. A frieze, or it goes inside this arched thing, most likely in a cathedral or a church. It's a frieze. And try my best to so I start by matching the aspect ratio. Notice I worked fairly small. These are fairly small, 2 to 3 inches. In centimeter, forgive me, centimeter, it's like 4 to 5 centimeters, something like that. Let's see. Forgive me, I'm American, if you can't tell. Forgive me, non-Americans, I don't know what the cm is, centimeter. So about this big, 2 to 3 inches, small thumbnail size. Typically, you don't need to make them any bigger than that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do my best to draw the pieces of the painting. So this painting is quite complex, a little bit. So I'm going to do my best to try to draw it and really, really be accurate with shape and placement. That's what I'm looking at. Not detail, so you don't need any detail. I just want to get the big shapes, big masses. In this case, there's a bunch of figures, so we don't need the detail of the figures. Obviously, they're beautiful, and I'm very tempted to draw detail, believe me, but you know, we want to stay disciplined. This is about tonal composition. And as you can see, I'm going to have to go down. It's kind of nice working in pencil at first because I can erase this obviously. Because this one has quite a big. So all of this stuff is a big dark mass. So I'm not even going to worry about it. This stuff at the bottom is so dark. I just really want to get the placement of the central figure, the central light shape. That's really important, the central light shape. I'm sure you can see it here on screen. And then these kind of random heads. I don't need any detail. There's some random background detail I don't need. It's not that important. I just kind of needed the shape there to help me judge the other shapes. That's why I'm putting some of these background shapes. Really, all of this is a big dark mass. That's what I see. So this is pretty close. I'm kind of rushing to, you know, I have a lot to go through in this video, so I'm kind of rushing. That's okay. That's pretty close right there. Once I have my sketch, I have all the figures and things planned, you know, and if you're new to this, I don't recommend a complex one like this. Not at first anyway. So then I take a ruler or a square. I have a square here. Isn't it interesting? A square. It's called a square in English, but it's actually a triangle. Because I want to lock in the frame. So it's real helpful to have squares in your sketchbook. Comment below, anybody watching has seen my old tonal composition video. I made one about 10 years ago now, I think. And I used the digital. Obviously digital is much easier, but I want to do much more traditional now. Alright, so I locked in my frame. Now I'm going to lock in this thing. And really, this is all a dark mass. I'm going to cover my paper underneath my, okay. Yeah, okay. So really, and I'm gonna go quite abstract here, and I'm gonna squint. I'm gonna squint and just go abstract. Because really, there is not much midtone here. That's what I'm seeing. When I look at this, I see this. I see mostly black, and the midtones are quite dark. Like that. So that's the tonal structure I see. 3 values. So it's important to gauge that. You know, I used to live in, I'm from California, and I was so blessed. I got to see a Rembrandt exhibit in San Diego, California. Comment below Has anyone here seen a Rembrandt in person? I know we have many. I have many Dutch friends here. People living in Holland. I'm sure Rembrandt to you is kind of boring now. You probably grew up seeing Rembrandts your whole life. You're very blessed. But I got to see one in person, and it was one of the most glorious things I've ever seen. Rembrandt's 12 Apostles. That was probably the only Rembrandt I ever saw in person. And it was one of the most spectacular paintings I've seen in my life. It kind of brings a tear to my eye when I think about it even now, because that's what happened. It was such a moving painting. I started to cry. I started to weep because it just hit me so emotionally. And then I saw his technique, his brushwork, and I was like, oh, that's why everybody loves and respects and admires him. That's why he's considered one of the GOATs. Yeah, it was probably the most spectacular brushwork I've ever seen in my life. So anyway, that's my little Rembrandt story. And let's see. That's really it. All of this stuff, I'm going to, yeah, watch this. So that's what I see. The rest of this stuff is, where does it end? Right here. Here we go. That's it, my friends. Even the background's got to go. You see, I really didn't need to draw those characters. I just drew them so I can get more accurate lay-in of this mass. So you see, tonal composition teaches you what you're watching is a valuable lesson. What you're watching is a valuable lesson. And that lesson is massing and abstraction. Massing and abstraction. M-A-S-S. And this is what I'm doing, believe it or not, by basically eliminating all of these figures and details is how you get realism, my friends. So those of you watching who want to be better realists, believe it or not, one of the secrets to realism is good abstraction. That's right, I said it, and I didn't invent that. Steve Houston first told that to me, and it's very true. And once you do this exercise, you'll see the abstraction. You'll see the abstraction. Oh, this is taking a lot longer than I expected. So that's very sloppy and slow. Fast. I'm rushing, obviously, because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. So please don't rush when you do this at home. If you watch my videos, most of the time I'm rushing because I want to get it, I want to keep the video less than 10 hours long. So when you're watching it, when you're doing this exercise at home, do not rush. Take your time. Because when you're doing it at home, you won't be on camera, so you'll be able to relax. Right now, I got to stress out trying to make an easy video. So next is the halftone, right? Next is the halftone, and that's basically everything except for Jesus and the cloth. That's right. See, this is more massing. So this is more massing, but halftone massing. So we did dark massing. Now we're going to do halftone massing. Halftone massing, and that's, again, believe it or not, the secret to realism is tonal abstraction, tonal design, grouping and simplifying your values. Rembrandt does it, Sargent does it, Velasquez does it, Bouguereau does it, Nathan Fawkes does it, Steve Houston definitely does it. Steve Houston's very influenced by Rembrandt, so those of you who like Steve Houston want to draw like him. He's heavily influenced by Rembrandt. And there it is. There it is. This is basically the tonal design, the tonal structure of this painting. A gigantic dark mass with a little bit of light in the middle with some halftony stuff surrounding it. Now, obviously, there's detail and other stuff, but that's for another master copy. This is how I approach a tonal composition, tonal structure, tonal design master copy. Simple, small, clean, and obviously very, very abstract. Very abstract. Lots of masses. And I'm looking for the masses. And that's the skill. That's the skill we want to develop. Is the ability to look at all the beautiful detail in a painting or drawing and go, no, 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 no. That detail in the design, in the composition, doesn't matter that much. What matters is where it belongs in the value shapes and value masses. Does it belong with the dark masses? Does it belong with the halftone masses? Does it belong with the light masses? That's what tonal structure and tonal composition studies will teach you. So let's move on to the next way I look at a master copy. Take a break here. A lot of talking. Let me double check the comments. Wow, I'm looking at the comments now. Thank you so much, guys. Wow. Oh, Rob Paint. Yes. I saw Rembrandt's self-portrait in NGA, Washington. It's more appealing in real life. Wow, thank you so much for the comments, guys. I appreciate you. Wow. Thank you for those watching live. All right, let's get back to work. I'm going to put Rembrandt back on. Okay, guys, the second way we can approach, or I like to approach a master copy, is I want to study their shape and design language. Shape and design language. And what does that mean? That means for me is, do they do abstract shapes? Do they do like this? Actually, let me put my big head back. Did they use round shapes? Did they use compound shapes? Is their contour thin like this? Is their contour thick, like heavy? Linear design. Is their contour scratchy? Is their contour broken? How do they lead the eye if they're drawing a portrait or whatever, or a full bust? How does it go from the highlight, take you down to the shoulder, down to the hand or whatever it's holding? How do they do that? That's linear design. So these are all the things I look for in shape design. Similar to tonal structure and tonal composition. It's essentially a compositional exercise as well. Where is their placement? Is the subject low? Is the subject centered? Is the subject high? All of these are fantastic questions to look at. So let's look at Rembrandt and see what we can learn in terms of shape design. And already, and really the key word to this and to tonal structure is abstraction. Just like I said earlier, if you want to be a great realist, you have to also be very good at abstraction. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I'm walking on air. I never thought I would be so free. On a wing and a prayer. It's an 80s song. All right, so I'm looking at the Rembrandt here. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Obviously, he has, I'll just quickly draw in pencil what I see. So clearly, we got a portrait frame. And I'm just going to ignore the frieze, the curve of the frieze. Number one, it's central, central, central. Central, central, central. So the main action is in the middle. Main action is in the middle. There's lots of things pointing. The background is pointing to the middle. Obviously that cross is pointing. That's number one. Placement is central. Number two, what are the shape? Placement. Put that there. What are the shapes? Clearly, there is a rectangular, triangle-y things like this, right? The Jesus, the cloth, the figure holding him, and his leg and light makes this kind of thing. And this is really important. This is what I mean by, to be a good realist, you also have to be a very good abstract designer. This is essentially the shape of this picture. It's a big old dark mass, just like what we saw. It's a big old dark mass in a rectangular shape. And if you notice here, there's another figure here, that man on the right. I don't know if you can see, but there's a man on the right. Directly to he's standing. He's not on the cross. So he's standing. So he's also looking at Jesus. So his gaze is driving you forward. That's pretty awesome. But what this does to me, and also the background line is here. The background object line is here. Also the heads of these figures are here. So what this tells me, guys, I believe, so I know this looks kind of small. I don't know if I can make it larger. Maybe the editor can. I know this looks kind of small, but what I see here is essentially two triangles. This is, in my opinion, what's happening here is a true triangle design. Because why triangle? Why do I emphasize triangle? Is because triangle is symbolism. And in this case, I believe this triangle is a symbol of Christianity. It's religious symbolism. Rembrandt, the great Rembrandt, was a very religious man. He was very, very Christian. A very religious man, very devout Christian. So lots of his paintings, even they're not explicitly of religious paintings, he, philosophically, that's who he was. So the triangle represents the Christian Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's the Christian Trinity. So I believe he emphasized the triangle to add symbolism to his painting. So that's design. So you see how cool shape and design is? And see why you need an expert like me, by the way. If you like this stuff, by the way. I do have a high-level coaching program. I have a small intimate group right now of some killers. And right now it's in school and it's closed right now. It's full. So if you want to apply, make sure to go to my website and sign up for my email list. But anyway, this is what I see. And obviously most people won't see this deep. You know, I've been looking at paintings and studying shape, design, and symbolism for a long time. So I can see this stuff. But I hope it gives you an idea of what to look for. Constantly looking for things. And let's close with one more. Focal point and eye flow. Let's see, where can I put this? Focal point and eye flow. Focal point and eye flow, right? So they had the thing here. So you have the central thing here, the central mass here. You have a figure doing this on the right, figure down. Jesus' arm is like this. Two figures are looking up at him. The man is looking down and reaching his arm down. The cross thing is pointing down. These figures in the background are looking at him. Lots of stuff is leading your eye directly to center, and there's a big triangular mass. So this is a clear, I know it's small, but hopefully the editor can make it bigger. This is a clear point. He's doing this. Point. So this one's an obvious, but that's good to study, and that's important. That's important. This is an important lesson. Why? Because when you make a grand or ambitious drawing, you don't want the viewer's eye to just go anywhere. It's good to have a clear focal point and then design your picture, design your abstraction to point or lead the viewer's eye into your main focal point. In this case, it's the Jesus, obviously. So that's, again, another way to break down shape and design is linear design. And we'll go over this in detail in another video. Let's move on to the next drawing, or the next topic here. Take another break. That's a lot of talking. Thank you for being here, those of you watching live on replay. I appreciate it. It's my first time using OBS with the phone. It's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Comment below. Oh, if you just joined us, let me know where. Oops. Where are you located? Where are you watching from? What time is it for you? I'm in Thailand. Welcome. Let me know. Comment below. Do you enjoy this stuff? Do you want more? Do you like these live streams? Do you prefer vertical shorts? Do you prefer longer videos? Do you prefer shorter videos? I like live streams a lot. Let me know. Comment below. Let me know if you like this and what would you like to see? What other topics you'd like to see? Thank you for joining me, by the way. All right, let's move on to the next here. I'm going to get my big head out of the way. And I think we only have time for one more. Only have time for one more. And then we'll have to break this into two parts. Okay, how I study the masters, number 3, and that is marks and, oops, forgive my handwriting there, marks and techniques. Marks and techniques. Marks and techniques. What does that mean? What does that mean? Do they use lots of line and hatching? Do they use tonal marks like this? Do they use big blocky sticks? Do they use airbrushy marks? Do they do lots of this? Are there brush strokes with a sable brush? Are there brush strokes with a rough bristle brush? Do they use a fan brush? You know, you get different marks with a fan brush. You get different marks with a round pointy brush. Did they use lots of points? Did they use thick paint? Did they use thin paint? Did they use a palette knife? And typically what this is, marks and techniques, it's really about the look. The look, right? You gravitate towards a work of art because it resonates with you. You're like, oh wow, that's a beautiful painting. Oh wow, that's a beautiful drawing. Oh, that's a beautiful Sargent. Oh, that's a beautiful Bouguereau. And typically what it is you like the look, especially if you're an artist, right? So that's when I think about marks and techniques is how can I recreate the look? How can I recreate the look? How can I recreate the look? So you want to kind of deep dive and examine the painting or the master work and try to get a sense for what they're doing and try your best to match and model their techniques. And we're going to try to do that here. This is a painting, obviously, and we're going to do a drawing study. So let me zoom in on the original as best as I can. Okay, guys, I have the original on my iPad here in front of me, and it's a painting. And like I said, paintings in JPEGs are like 1/10 of what you experience in person. I guarantee this painting will look and feel much different in real life. I already can tell from what I remember of his seeing his 12 apostles. This is absolutely glorious. My goodness. My goodness, this is, I'm looking at it up close and I'm just imagining what it looks like in real life. Okay, so let's take a look at the Jesus. There's some techniques that we can get from this in drawing. So what I want to get from this as a drawing study, obviously as a painting study would be ideal, but looking at Jesus' torso, hopefully you can see it on screen, is I want to match his brushwork in pencil. I mean, obviously, we're going to use only pen or pencil, but that's one way. Like I said, match their drawing technique, match their brushwork, match the thickness of their paint. You know, so right now I'm looking at the Rembrandt here, looking at the Jesus, central Jesus figure. And to me, it has a beautiful look of has like the sense of realism. While maintaining this beautiful, it's a bit of a caricature, you know? It's a bit of a stylized anatomy. This is not true naturalistic anatomy, I don't believe. And that's okay, we don't need it to be. It's more about the picture in this case, right? There's that figure here. So right now I'm trying to do my best to lay in Rembrandt's figure as it is, and that's not easy. And again, you're watching me on video. I'm always rushing. I don't relax and take my time because this is quite stressful. Making a demo video for me, stressful. So if you're watching at home, please take your time. Do not rush. Make your lay-in perfect. Make your constructions perfect. I know it's not accurate. I could already feel something's off. I feel there's a couple things off here. There's a man's hand over here. So I'm not focusing on the anatomy right now. What I want to do is I just need to lay it in correctly. Obviously, it's a realist thing, so you got to do what realists do, is make a realistic thing, which takes time, you know. Or not tape bananas to walls, people. We are slow and painful people, realist people. Slow and painful. That's how we like to make art. Okay, here we go. So we got a thing. We got a thing. Pretty good thing here, a lay-in. What I notice is that his brushwork is like this, guys. I don't know if you can see on screen. His brushwork is like this. If you have downloaded the original, you can see it. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm going to try to render and model this form matching Rembrandt's technique. Even though it's in paint, and I'm trying to do it in drawing. I'm going to try to pretend like this is a brushstroke. So this is an important lesson, especially those of you who do paint or who want to transition into painting. This is how we learn from the great masters. So it's like everything is just like wrapping up and around. So I gotta undo that. It's so gorgeous, my goodness. There's something interesting with this hair I just noticed. So notice in the shadow mask, it's very flat. I'm looking at the brushwork in the shadow mask, and it's flat. Meaning flat, just kind of boring and quiet. There's no like texture, or this shadow mask right here. There's no texture, there's no subtlety, nothing. It's flat. Because he doesn't want you to look there. So of course he made it flat and boring on purpose. That is on purpose. That is on purpose. That is part of Rembrandt's mark making, which is what we're studying now. So you see, we can learn a valuable lesson. Like, hey, if you want the viewer to look somewhere, put interesting brushwork and technique there, and then surround it by boring, no technique, nothingness, you see? So this is no interesting technique with interesting technique. And of course, your eye is immediately going to go boom. Your eye is going to go right here, and this will recede into space, which is exactly what we want. So that is the game of realism, my friends. Again, that's basically abstract design, by the way. That's the game of realism, is consciously controlling what you're doing at all levels. Consciously control your values, consciously control your colors, and also consciously control your marks. Consciously be aware of your marks, what they do, what they represent, what are they saying? Are they drawing attention? Are they taking it away? So check this out. He has beautiful, I don't know if you can see it, he has like beautiful, almost line brushstroke. I wonder if he used, I wish I could see this in person. His, the torso I'm drawing has little hatch lines like this. I wonder if it's texture from the brush or what, but it's absolutely gorgeous now that I'm looking at it. That's what I love about master copies too. It makes me appreciate the great art. You know, because most of us, we don't sit down and stare at the same painting for an hour or 2 hours, you know, or more. We just look at it once on our phones and go, oh, okay, that's nice, and then put it away. If you're lucky, you have a nice book. But that's the beauty of these copies. You really get to see what's going on here. Here, guys, right here, his thigh. And this is classic. Watch, I'm gonna do it with this just to show you what I see. Are you ready? This is classic realism right here. He put a sharp, razor sharp and heavy line right here. What's behind it is soft and airbrushy soft. And guess who does that? Comment below if you have seen a contemporary American artist. I'll give you a clue. His name starts with Steve and ends with Houston. That's right. You see this? You see me do it. because Steve Houston's I'm a Steve Houston clone. If you like Steve Houston's work, you see why he's so. I say he's so influenced by Rembrandt. This is exactly what Steve does. Rembrandt did it right here. So you see, marks and techniques. I would not have seen that if I did not take the time to stare at this gorgeous painting. It's incredible. I'm so glad I did. And he also does it here. Comment below, Steve Houston fans. Have you seen him do this? Have you seen him do a accent on the contour? Of course you have. Of course you have. You've probably done it too. And guess what? Guess what? Steve doesn't invent stuff. He just takes what every great artist does. You just take the best from the best who came before you. This is not much is new. Not much is new, my friends. You just take from the best who came before you, and you do little studies like this, and you go, oh, okay, that's how Rembrandt did his accents, or oh, that's how he made his form pop. It's brilliant. There's one more little thing here, and we'll wrap this up here. We'll wrap up this little demonstration here. Notice on his body, the shadow mask, they're very flat marks, mostly tonal marks. In his hair has more energy. His hair is like this. Obviously, because he wants us to feel like hair. So his hair has more line, has more energy, has more swirly marks. Versus here it was round, round, round. Versus here it was flat, flat, flat. So you see, Rembrandt's doing what I say all the time, is that if you want your renderings to look hot, if you want your shaded drawings, figures, portraits, and figures to look hot and sexy, you kind of want to mix up your techniques. And Rembrandt does the exact same thing right here. He's using kind of like this kind of hatchy, energetic, swirly technique at the hair. I'm going to exaggerate what I see so you can see it. So you see? Swirly, energetic at the hair. Right? But then, in the shadow mask, soft, flat, quiet, soft, flat. See? You see how the hair, even though they're both dark, the hair comes forward. That's the game, my friends. That's the game. That's why we do these master copies. So anyway, I think it's a good stopping point here, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put my big head back on screen. Whew. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And like I said, we got a lot more to cover. We got to go through all of these. So far, we only did 1, 2, 3. So make sure to come back for video 2. I thought I could do all of them, but you know, I end up talking a lot. So I appreciate you. We just did this. We did this today. We did this. And we did this. So next week, the next video, we're going to do these 2. So make sure to come back and check me out. I really appreciate you. If you like this video and you want to see more like this, comment below. Let me know, hey Chris, this thing is awesome. I love these live streams. I want more. Or hey Chris, I love this live stream. Can you do a live stream on shading? Can you do a live stream on composition? Can you do a live stream on that hatching thing you do? Can you do a live stream on those athletes you draw on Instagram? Can you do a live stream on that? Of course, I'll easily do that. Can you do a live stream on painting? I'm doing much more painting and teaching painting now. So anyway, comment below. Let me know what you want. If you like this video and you want more, I got a website. Check out my website. I have a free email list. drawwithchris.com. www.drawwithchris.com. I have a free email list. I have a bunch of free lessons and downloads. I got references. I got handout study guides, and they're free. And I email them to you. You don't got to do nothing. You just sign up for the email list, and then boom, I email you immediately. You get all of my best free lessons that you don't see on YouTube. And it's all free, my friends. www.drawwoodchris.com. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. Sorry for the clap. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to continuing with this series. We got a lot more work to do. I hope to see you in the next live stream. So until next time, my friends.